Tom Brady did it again, and this time without Bill. Not that there was any dispute as to who the all-time greatest was. Brady just wanted to put an exclamation point on it by winning his 7th Super Bowl in his first year in Tampa. With 7 rings, he has passed the great Michael Jordan in championships and is in his own football stratosphere. At the age of 43, he's still the standard of American sport excellence. As for Tampa Bay,
assume they would say, what was it like to cover Michael Jordan? And I think we have now arrived at a place where that question is going to change. I think the question is going to be, what was it like to watch Tom Brady? I think what he has done here at the age of 43, I think does catapult him. I heard Zubin's tease, and I think that is right. I think it puts him at the top of the list of the greatest athletes in the history of American team sports. It's impossible to compare team sport athletes to individual sport athletes. There's not enough commonality between what they're trying to accomplish. But I don't know how you could put anyone ahead of him based on what he's already done, and I don't even know that he has to win Sunday to do it.
So, Greeny,
all right, RC, I'm coming to you on this because you didn't get to talk that much. Tom Brady adding to his ring count yesterday only extends the lead over the all-time Super Bowl quarterbacks. He now has more Super Bowl MVPs than Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw have rings. He has more Super Bowl rings than any franchise, forget players. So tell me this, did Brady prove he's the greatest of all time in team sports, Ryan?
Ooh, that's a tough question because I'm a Michael Jordan guy, but I believe he has. And I believe he has because the difficulty of winning this championship, to be more involved in a championship at 43 than you were at 24, to actually put this team together. Let's think about this team and what we said they were going to be coming into the season. We thought no risk it, no biscuit. We thought we'd see Chris Godwin, we'd see Mike Evans have these ultimate all-pro Pro Bowl years, that he would push the ball down the field at an enormous rate and that he wouldn't turn the ball over. That's what we expected.
I don't believe there is any doubt any longer. Tom Brady is the greatest American pro sports team athlete of all time. And I'm not sure that in any of our lives, anyone else is ever going to come close to him again. That is the biggest takeaway from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' domination of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Shalom, my brothers and sisters, all praise to the Most High Yahweh and His Son the Messiah. I rarely speak on worldly events like sports, but I felt compelled to speak on this subject. Is Tom Brady the GOAT, based on my knowledge of watching sports for over 5 decades? Let me say this first before I put on my worldly garments. Tom Brady, aka the Golden Boy Wonder, in a biblical sense is the GOAT to us Israelites who know the scriptures. Matthew chapter 25 verse 32 says, "And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats." So yes, the Edomite boy wonder Tom Brady will be separated from the sheep, aka the Israelites, when the Messiah returns. Now let us get to the question if Tom Brady is the GOAT after this Super Bowl win, which I personally did not watch. I do not watch sports anymore based of my knowledge that all major sports are rigged and very corrupt. So I choose not to dabble in folly. But I'll at least give my opinion on this setup. Yes, a setup. The boy wonder Tom Brady was chosen by the elites to be part of your irrelevant conversations on who is the best athlete that ever played any organized professional sports in America. You ask why? Well, it would be very fitting to these oppressors to have a Caucasian man be the face of sports, even though black people has made sports here in America and across the rest of the earth the way it is today, worth watching. I personally feel offended that anybody would make Tom Brady the best sports athlete ever in America, especially after Spygate in 2007, that's disgusting. And what is more disgusting, is that the elites are doing this mockery of black people in Black History Month. But what is more disgusting than the elites hating on black people, are you black sports analysts entertaining the fact that Tom Brady is the GOAT, or put him over the top of Michael Jordan? That is downright evil. Why would you do that to your people? Sports analysis and you independent people out there agreeing with these people that Tom Brady is the GOAT. Make sure you put that abstract next to his bus in the Football Hall of Fame. Tom Brady will be in the Hall of Fame on his first ballot, no doubt. Well, you same sports analysis, especially the black ones, and you independent people out there who are being an advocate for Tom Brady, make sure you give that same attitude to Barry Bonds this year. This year in 2021, this will be the last time Barry Bonds can try and get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, a baseball player who has 762 career home runs, most by any other player. Are you serious? But you racist biased sports writers probably will not even vote for him. So again, next time you speak on Tom Brady's accomplishments and the Hall of Fame, remind yourself to have a conversation with yourself about Spygate, Deflategate, and especially the tuck rule against my beloved Oakland Raiders in 2001. How dare you black sports commentators worship this so-called white man, and put him over a well-established no need for introduction Michael Jordan. That is 100 blasphemy, and you are purposely kissing the white man's ass. In the past 50-plus years, I have witnessed a lot of baseball players, a lot of basketball players, and a lot of football players be drafted into their respectful leagues. The people who is commentating about this, how many of you were able to see Julius Erving, the doctor, play in his prime? But I always hear about Michael Jordan or LeBron James being the greatest. How would you know if you was not there to see it? Well, fortunately I was there. Michael Jordan won more rings than Dr. J, but was he better than the doctor? Well, to the masses, yes, Michael Jordan is better than Dr. J. Why? Because the sports commentators these past 40 years has beaten it in your conscience that Michael Jordan is better than Dr. J, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Connie Hawkins, or even Magic Johnson. Bill Russell has 11 championship rings, but he still have to deal with the question who is the best NBA player. So is Tom Brady being branded the GOAT because he has 7 Super Bowl rings? Well, Bill Russell has 11, now what? Your NBA journalists would say, Bill Russell only had 18 other teams to play against to get those 11 rings, when those type of comments actually hurts their case. If there were only 18 teams back then, that means the talent wasn't watered down like having 30 teams. What might be another hype for Brady being the GOAT? Maybe, he went straight from New England to Tampa Bay to win the championship his first year playing there. Yeah, whatever. Magic did it with the Lakers at the age of 20, and received the Finals MVP. Now what? Let us speak on another person who I actually watched from his rookie year, which was 1992, who has been getting a bad deal out of this subject for several years, and has the same amount of rings as boy wonder Tom Brady. Mr. Big Shot Bob, aka Robert Horry. I have heard several black journalists in the past couple of days dismiss Robert Horry's 7 NBA title rings when talking about Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowl rings. Their excuse is, Robert Horry was a role player, which is 100% false. If you ask Kenny Smith, he wouldn't say Horry was a role player with the Houston Rockets. If you ask Shaq, he wouldn't say Horry was a role player with the LA Lakers. If you ask Tim Duncan, he definitely would not say Horry was a role player with the San Antonio Spurs. So why do these well-experienced sports journalists brush off Robert Horry's 7 rings? When it was obvious watching him play all those years he was a premier small forward making big-time shots in his 16 years in the league. Simple answer, he wasn't the chosen one. Michael Jeffrey Jordan was to be the chosen one. Am I saying Robert Horry is better than Michael Jordan? Of course not. What I am saying is, you cannot say someone is the GOAT based on how many championships they have. Robert Horry has 7 title rings. Dr. J has won 1 NBA championship ring and 2 ABA championship rings. Does that make Robert Horry better than Dr. J? Of course not. Robert Horry would tell you that himself. So please leave out the championship rings subject when speaking about who is the GOAT. I want to introduce you sheeple who listen and believe everything you hear. I want to introduce you to a basketball player named Lou Alcindor, who currently goes by the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Have any of you watched him play in his prime in the 60s, 70s and 80s? I doubt it, but I have. To hear these sports commentators for decades totally dismiss this man tells me there is an agenda going on putting LeBron James or Tom Brady, even Michael Jordan, above Kareem. Hate to tell you, but you sports fans are being tricked. How can you ignore an athlete who had a move nobody could actually defend and stop, the Kareem skyhook, and not be considered the best player in his field of work? Because again, there are agendas when these sports writers and commentators ignore these attributes. Did I mention he has 6 NBA titles to his resume, just one less than Tom Brady and the same as Michael Jordan? So why is Kareem usually left out of these conversations? Because you are being programmed to like who they choose to put in front of you to like. They know you have not witnessed any of these old athletes play on the court or on the field, so it is very easy for them to pay off sports commentators and sports writers to go along with their agenda, which you sheeple follow, like this Tom Brady is the GOAT shit. I want to add one more person in the mix, who also have dealt with disrespect of his legacy, because of the elite agenda to put one athlete over the other with false claims and false supporters, like you are seeing in real time with boy wonder Tom Brady. Because I have watched Michael Jordan and other great athletes the past 50 years, I am still having problems dismissing Wilt, the Stilt, Chamberlain being one of the greatest athletes in the past 50 years. Wilt Chamberlain was something people have never seen before. The saying among the OGs who really know about sports when it comes to who the best in basketball, the NCAA and NBA changed the rules of the game to make it harder for Wilt Chamberlain to score, like no dunking or implementing the size of the lane. I was blessed to catch Wilt Chamberlain play at the end of his career with the Los Angeles Lakers and he still was a beast. So why a lot of the conversation about the best that ever was in the NBA, Wilt Chamberlain is not really involved? Well, I must say it again, Michael Jordan was the chosen one to represent that category of being the best basketball player that ever was. Not Wilt Chamberlain, not Bill Russell, not Magic Johnson and a few others who could claim that throne. Are you sports commentators going to tell me Tom Brady is better than Joe Montana or a Terry Bradshaw, or a John Elway, because he has more Super Bowl rings than them? Really? This has never made sense to me. If Tom Brady got hit the way Joe Montana was hit during the 1990 NFC playoffs against the Giants, a penalty definitely would have been called. Meaning, Tom Brady has not felt a hit that looked like this in over 15 years without a penalty being called. Hitting a quarterback like this stopped over 20 years ago. You sheeple do not understand how much the NFL has changed over the past 20 years to protect the quarterback, and other key positions in football to keep the game interesting. If you are under 45 years old, you do not remember the games of the 70s and 80s. And that the tackles you are seeing on your screen, majority of these hits would be a penalty in today's game, which is a very watered down version of professional football. The NFL is a couple of rule changes away from becoming a flag football league. I will never believe boy wonder Tom Brady is the best football player who ever played the game in history, and especially not the greatest athlete in team sports, which the elite and the media is trying to portray him as the best that ever done it. And I'll throw in, I will never believe LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Dr. J, Magic Johnson, Dominique Wilkins, Earl the Pearl Monroe. Do you see where I'm going with this? So you can keep thinking this average playing quarterback whose football career was scripted. Keep thinking he is the greatest football player of all time, which is so untrue. Keep thinking he is greater than Michael Jordan, which is basically blasphemy. Just keep feeding on the agenda that the elites are trying to put forth during your beloved Black History Month, that a so-called white man is better in sports than any black man that played the game of football, even though black people built the NFL. Then they went even further to mock black people, to cross him over to basketball and say that Tom Brady had a better career than Michael Jordan, and is a better athlete and a better winner. You black people should be very, very offended and pissed off. And to see black athletes, especially Jerry Rice, say that Tom Brady is the GOAT is the ugliest thing in sports history. That is all I am seeing, are black men and black women praising a so-called white man in Black History Month. That is some evil shit.
He's a winner. He's a good leader. One of the best human beings I know. Even a greater football player. I can't speak enough on what he's meant to me.
I'm just blessed to be next to this man. You know, he's the GOAT. he is the greatest football player to ever play. You know, and I can tell my kids I play with that man. I'm just blessed.
It's been amazing to have Brady come in and lead us to the Super Bowl champs, man. Like there's nothing else to be said. Brady, there's nothing that he can't do. New team, new scheme, first year, going to the Super Bowl and winning it all. Like he's the GOAT for sure.
Tyrann Mathieu played a big role helping to start the conversation that Tom Brady is better than Michael Jordan, so he's a goddamn sellout as well. Symbolism was all through this game, which is nothing new when it comes to the Super Bowl. The reason why Tyrann Mathieu kept putting his hands in Tom Brady's face was because of Tyrann Mathieu's yellow gloves he was wearing during the game. Do you see the Air Jordan symbol on his glove? That was relating to the elites that Tom Brady will surpass MJ. Do you not see the Eye of Horus and the snake on Tyrann Mathieu's arm? That is some evil shit if you ask me. This is why around all the water coolers in offices across America, men are comparing Boy Wonder to MJ. That's mind control at its best. My last thoughts are, you black people who believe and are saying that Tom Brady is better than Michael Jordan, you once again have sold out your people, and you have demonstrated how much you love so-called white people. I see it every day, so it's really not a surprise. Quick example. Do you remember the controversial situation with the Aunt Jemima pancake mix that featured a black woman on the box? Well, the company changed the image on the box for you illiterate black people who do not know your history. You lack of knowledge people, did you know it was a black woman who invented and created the pancake? Of course you didn't. That is why you begged your slave masters to take a black woman's image off the box. You damn fools shot yourself in the foot, straight idiots. And you are about to do the same with black people's involvement in sports. You are about to help the so-called white man erase black people importance in America's sports with this Tom Brady shit. Jesse Owens and others are damning you niggers. So Tom Brady, you are definitely the GOAT in a spiritual way according to scriptures, but you are far from the GOAT when compared with Michael Jordan and other black athletes in American sports history. Don't believe the hype. Shalom.